We live in a world where card games have become ubiquitous with video games. Titles like Hearthstone, Gwent, and Slay the Spire present card games of their own, while real world favorites like poker and blackjack can be found in many variations across the medium. It's incredibly rare then to find a card game that isn't about understanding unique mechanics or collecting powerful cards, or deck construction, or really anything of that sort, but instead a game about being a sly manipulator capable of deceiving even the most watchful of eyes. Then along comes Card Shark, a game that's sure to catch the eye of poker players and sleight of hand fiends alike. The game's concept is relatively simple. Cheat at cards using a variety of strategies to trick your opponents into forfeiting their gold directly into your pocket, while also gathering information about a hushed rumor circulating around 18th century France. Okay, maybe not super simple, but yeah, you cheat at cards. In practice, though, things are much more challenging than that, and things will be harder than you originally envision from that description alone. It all begins with you taking on the role of a mute busboy, working leisurely at a roadside inn. While tending to tables, a man implores you to help his cause by offering a brief moment of impulse and excitement into your otherwise boring life. He wants you to help him cheat. This is Comte de Saint-Germain, or at least Card Shark's version of him. You see, many characters within the title have been adapted straight from real French history, including this one, who is a reflection of the enigmatic Count of Saint-Germain. Comte here reflects that mystery man, a philosopher said to have come in contact with many recognizable names, such as Voltaire, Louis XV, and more. Here though, in-game, he's a cheater, and soon he's about to become your mentor. After a series of hands, your card game goes awry despite your best efforts to help Comte cheat. This leads to the death of your boss and the beginning of a new life, venturing across the French countryside as you attempt to uncover the mystery behind the elusive 12 bottles of milk. This rumor is just that for now, a rumor, but you and Comte hope to uncover the truth to revolutionize the French monarchy and manipulate it to your advantage. I won't go into spoilers, but throughout this journey you'll encounter many interesting characters, including those real-life counterparts I mentioned earlier. The story takes many interesting twists and turns, including a few bombshell realizations and grand reveals that you probably won't see coming. Admittingly, it does take a little bit of time though to familiarize yourself with all the characters, as often names are thrown around left and right without the corresponding face to associate them with. Over time, you do come to realize who's who, including the major players in the royal rumor, but it does take a tick longer than you might hope for. Also, there are technically multiple variations to pursue towards the game's climax, but from what I hear, they don't result in completely different endings, which kind of defeats the whole purpose of the choice. This is particularly disappointing since Chapter 4 of the game is literally titled The Choice. Regardless though, I don't really see this as being a very replayable game anyway, and for $20 I think that's just fine. I was satisfied with the story being told, but what truly lured me in was the unique art style and gameplay mechanics. As I mentioned a moment ago, Card Shark isn't about applying game strategy to win at hands of poker. Instead, it's about pulling off elaborate tricks to cheat your opponents out of their money. You'll often do this by serving as Comte's assistant, and setting him up with winning hands, while occasionally ensuring his opponents receive lower value cards. Essentially, you do all the dirty work. This includes maneuvers like peeking at your opponent's cards and signaling them, completing false shuffles, stacking the deck, marking cards, and even manipulating deck cuts. It's all very underhanded, but a ton of fun to pull off successfully. The game sets you up for success in this regard too, as most of the early game tricks are quite simple to pull off, requiring only 1 or 2 moves to reach success. Most of these involve either quick-time event minigames, rapid tests of memory, or your understanding of how to shuffle the deck appropriately. The inputs are simple, but you must really understand what each movement of the joystick or pressing of the button is doing, and execute those steps properly. As you progress, the game quickly builds on many of the strategies by either varying them up or stringing multiple tricks together to really fool your opponents. This constant shuffling of moves might feel a bit overwhelming at times, but the game has done a brilliant job at enabling you the opportunity to practice techniques as much as you'd like before you actually have to put them to use in actual games. And practice is quite important because your opponents aren't blind. They won't sit there and let you swindle them. They will be looking for cheats. At the bottom of every round of cards is a suspicion meter. This gradually fills up throughout your interaction. Breaking the flow of your cheat or stumbling with the cards will increase suspicions, while conversely, throwing hands to your opponent will lower it at the cost of your money. If the meter maxes out, you'll either be kicked out, arrested, or killed outright. And one of these options results in a card game against a unique opponent, which is a really cool touch that I'll let you discover for yourself. Really, the best part about this game is the heat of the moment encounters, when you're forced to put up or shut up. The pressure to perform placed upon you by the suspicion meter tests how well you've practiced your technique earlier. And let me tell you, that pressure is very palpable, especially in the early stages of the game, making for quite an engrossing hook. When you pull off a ruse successfully, it feels incredible. You feel like a true cheat as you walk away from your confused opponents with pockets full of riches. It truly made for some of the most engaging gameplay that I've experienced this year. It really lured me in and made me feel the joys of success after overcoming the anxiety of the performance. And these intense moments of pressure are staggered between bits of dialogue and other staged minigames like card tricks, coin flips, and even sword fights. They usually make for a good point of downtime, which balances very well with the tension of each heist. My only real pause for concern with the gameplay is that some of the more elaborate tricks weren't always explained so easily. I do really believe that you'll need at least a basic working knowledge of a standard deck, including suits and what beats what, to really enjoy this game. But having decent math skills also comes in handy since you'll be asked to count cards a considerable amount. But anyway, in the later stages of the game, one trick in particular took me 35 minutes of practice to fully understand, because Compt refused to explain it to me step by step, no matter how many times I failed. It made overcoming this section really enjoyable, but it was kind of a pain to have to teach myself the trick after the game had kind of walked me through so many others. Still, this was a one-off occurrence, as most of the time I was able to grasp each trick after practicing it 2 or 3 times. And topping it all off is a gorgeous hand-drawn art style that's hard for me to articulate in words given my poor vocabulary pertaining to the art world. To me, it looks like someone who's super talented with crayons drew each scene on a piece of paper, and the animation then makes it all come to life without losing that feeling of being a beautiful drawing. You move strictly in 2D as well, which helps ensure this vision is never compromised. Meanwhile, the music and sound work is kept relatively simple, but this game didn't really need an over-the-top soundtrack to be a success. everything fit quite nicely, and I really enjoyed some of the classical tunes. It's not something you often hear in video games. For sure, this will be one of my favorite art directions in any title this year. So, everything is sounding pretty good then, huh? Well, yeah, I do believe this game is quite good, and for sure worth your time, especially if you're a fan of card games. Unfortunately though, until it's patched, it's not a title I can fully recommend as much as I'd like to. Returning viewers may have noticed that this video isn't titled as a review, and that's because I didn't finish Card Shark. Sadly, this was not by my own choice. I desperately wanted to see how this game concluded after experiencing about 6 of its 7 hours of content. However, I encountered a game-breaking glitch where my character simply would not move, despite how many times I reset the game and the console. Without being able to reset the scene, I was unable to progress further. Now, there is a workaround for this on PC at the time of writing, but it's not available on Switch currently. The developers at Nerio are aware of this issue and say a patch is coming though. Once this issue is resolved, I recommend this game wholeheartedly and will return to it to finish up the story someday. For now though, be wary while purchasing it. It was a total bummer for me and led to this video being titled the way it is. So wrapping things up here, we have a great indie title, my favorite on the year so far. We'll see if it can stand up to the likes of Stray and Temtem and As Dusk Falls, but only time will tell. For now though, what we have is a game that provides one of the best hooks and novel concepts I've experienced in a game for quite some time. This game does something that no other title has. It makes you the cheat and gives you the ability to walk the line between a life of luxury or a life in jail. Your practice rewards you with riches as you pull off elaborate hoaxes while also uncovering more about a royal mystery engulfing France. It's gripping, it's interesting, it's new, and it's gorgeous. It just needs to be fixed first. Thanks for watching. Alright, so that brings us to the end of another review. So, if you're not following me on Twitter, well, first of all, you should be, at NopeNapNarp. But anyway, I recently announced that later this summer, I will be releasing a long-format analysis of the Halo games. Many of you know that I got my first Xbox this year, and so I figured what better way to join the community than to look at its flagship franchise. In that upcoming video, I'll be looking strictly at the campaigns of Halo Combat Evolved, 2, 3, ODST, Reach, 4, 5, and Infinite. Multiplayer and Forge won't be discussed, nor will spin-offs like Halo Wars. But even disregarding these inclusions, the video should be around an hour and a half to 2 hours long, so please look forward to that. Anyway guys, thank you so much for watching. Please leave a like if you enjoyed the video, consider subscribing for more, follow me on Twitter at NopeNapNarp, and as always guys, have a nice day, and take care.